Meo here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we make the Souls and Stardust podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, so let me explain. It's free, and they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can actually make money from your podcast as well with no minimum listenership. So it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome to the Souls and Stardust podcast. I'm Meo.
And I'm Shannon.
We're two soul sisters navigating through our human experience on a journey towards healing. Join us for a candid and fun discussion on all things spiritual, soulful, intuitive, and magical.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Souls and Stardust. We wanted to talk a little bit about the current world energy with the coronavirus and how in times of chaos, and in particular when the collective is feeling a lot of anxiety and fear, how does that actually affect us as individual humans trying to move through our life? And then, of course, how we relate to each other in community and as a human collective or society. Let's just be honest. It's very intense energy, and there's a lot of uncertainty about what's happening from day to day. And we can become easily overwhelmed with what to listen to, what's truth, how other people are responding to it, and just, in general, being overwhelmed with worry for our family or what's going to happen, or just having our daily routines utterly disrupted in many cases. So we thought we would talk a bit about how the current energy is affecting us. Like Meo and I can give examples of how we are as energy sensitive people and what's happening for us in our lives and how we've been managing that and trying to navigate the intensity of the energy. And then what are the sorts of things that you probably might be experiencing and how to kind of sort through that as taking ownership of what's actually yours, like what is yours that you're feeling, and then what actually belongs to other people or the collective that you just might be picking up on and you don't realize that it's affecting you as much as it is. And then maybe some ways to help you release that energy and move through it in a more graceful way. So, Meo, where do you think we should start?
How has it been affecting you, let's say now versus when this whole thing kind of was starting to manifest itself into what it is now? So let's say now compared to February, March of earlier this year, have you noticed a difference in that or what?
I mean, I have, right? So when I live in Western Wisconsin, so it's very rural where we are. And we are about 2.5 hours from the Twin Cities and Minneapolis, St. Paul. And then we're also 4 hours from Chicago. So we are not in any location where there's any kind of concentration of active cases. And so when this first started, you watch the media and you hear all of this stuff. And personally, I do not watch the news. I haven't watched it for years because of how we can talk about the energy of news reporting, but it affects me so much that I stopped watching it years ago.
I stopped watching it because it literally makes me either puke or cry.
Yeah,
physically ill when I watch it.
Yeah, there's tremendous energy. A lot of times it's fear and anxiety energy that's associated with news reporting because, it makes sense. We report on things that are dramatic, right? Since we live in a place that's pretty rural, there was such a contradiction between what was being reported worldwide and then even in the US, where we live, versus where we live locally. Everything was just so, normal where we are. And then people, were trying to make sense of well, we don't have anything really going on here, but it's a big deal in all these other places. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of initial like concern. And I remember me feeling like really calm about it. And then even asking like my husband, cause he's the one that watches the news in our house, and that's fine by me. Right. He just keeps me updated. But, I remembered asking him like several times, do I need to be more worried about this? Because like when I tune into myself, I don't feel such, like panic energy as what's being reported.
Yep.
And, and it wasn't until probably like 7 or 8 weeks later that of course we had like the lockdown quarantine time, and then they kept extending it. It wasn't until about 7 or 8 weeks later when I was like, I could feel the building tension in my body. Like, okay, this is now becoming, we got the timing wrong of it where we live anyway. And so then it started becoming more of an issue where I live locally or regionally. And so there's a lot more care taken. And I still don't have much fear about it. I am responsible about what I do when I move around, and I try to limit how much I do move around. But that has shifted as things have progressed. And, energetically, it's just such a strange thing because we try to take our bearings off of what we can see going on around us. And then we compare that to what's happening elsewhere based on news reporting or whatever, however you're getting your information. And if that doesn't like align, then we're in this space of psychologically, emotionally, and like intuitively, we don't know what to do with that, right? That's an uncertain place. So now fast forward, how is that? It's been what, like almost 5 months now, 4.5 months. So we're in August. So like if you're listening now, we're in August, and I still don't have a lot of fear about this, but I definitely realize like, and I wasn't naive to this fact anyway, but it's definitely much more of a concern as we move around. And I can feel that tension collectively as I move through the day. And I know that what I'm feeling is other people's concern. So how I navigate has shifted considerably just because of how I understand intuitively what the uncertainty and I guess if you want to call it the threat is to your health, right? So how about you? Like, what has it been for you to go from that point early on to where you're at now?
It's been a very, like you, I'm feeling other people's stuff, maybe more so than my own, because I feel extremely calm about it. Like within my own meditations and just stuff that other people have picked up on and said to me as well, like of feelings that they've had, visions that they had of like, I don't, stuff that's validated what I've already felt. But then because I've literally been working this entire time outside of the home, it's like I've seen it this entire time evolve from nobody on the streets to everybody scared to like, it's like I've seen the evolution of the public. And then it's been interesting because, like I like working with cannabis and stuff. I work with a lot of people who have legit medical concerns, compromised immune systems, like stuff like that. So they have like these legit reasons to be fearful of contracting. However, what's been interesting are the people who are like over the top fearful, and I can feel it exuding out of them.
Yes.
To the point where there's been a couple instances where after leaving an interaction with somebody like that who treated me as if I were carrying the virus, that was like, they treated me like I had the gun with a bullet.
Wow.
And seeing how like, bro, like really, like I worried me if this was going to be the future of not just the adults, but the children and the energy that the kids are going to be growing up around.
Yeah, such fear. Yep.
It's and it was an induced fear. It was
Mm-hmm.
like the Pitocin of, you know, getting your induction when you're going to have a baby. It just,
Mm-hmm.
this virus brought everything on hard and fast, and it didn't give us time to acclimate to anything, because half the time, you know, the we're, like you said, it's just very disorienting because you're watching something on TV versus what you're experiencing in real life. So my advice when I talk to people who are willing to listen is to, as cliche, you know, staying positive, making sure you're the light in the room, you're the one affecting the energy in the room, knowing what's yours. And we always talk about this, like
Mm-hmm.
knowing what's yours and what somebody else's. Like how earlier I was telling you that I was just feeling this, you know, like all day I'll feel a certain way, and then I'll go to talk to somebody later on, and then it's like, oh shit, that was your energy, sorry. And you know,
It's so confusing being an empath.
it is very confusing being an empath, because
Yes.
everything, it's like seeing a TV in black and white, or photographic images in black and white, and you only see shades of gray sometimes. You don't always see the colors and like what's differentiating it from the background, or the color in the shirt, because it's like you're just experiencing the feelings and emotions, and you don't always know where it comes from or if it's yours.
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
that's, you know.
Well, and that is the epitome of this global situation too, right? Like collectively, everyone, and we should also, you know, talk about the spiritual significance of this kind of event, because I have a lot of
Yes.
thoughts on that. But like, so first, let's talk about how everybody has stopped and has their awareness focused on this. And so many millions of people are affected, and hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives, right, as complications
Mm-hmm.
from this virus. And that's very sad. It's tragic in a lot of cases, but
Right.
let's talk about how, like, when we all stop and we're feeling this and our awareness is trained on that, like that creates a vortex of energy. So that collective awareness and focus creates a very strong force. And anyone who is sensitive to energy, especially, you're going to feel that and not understand if it's yours or if it's something bigger. And then I guarantee you, everybody is feeling this energy, and many people just don't understand that it is
They don't
collective
understand
energy.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's a lot of people who are feeling it and they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand it. They don't recognize it. They have nobody to talk to about it.
Yes.
The amount of people that are approaching me and talking to me about their recent spiritual experiences opening up and awakening,
Yep.
and like
Mm-hmm.
like the way that the energy is moving so quickly and so intensely, like a waterfall right now, like
Mm-hmm.
it's happening fast. And
Yeah.
uh
Yep.
this virus, just like the other large incidents, like anything tragic or catastrophic, tends to recenter or readjust our, like, refocus on not just priorities, but
Yep.
like uh where am I at in life? Is this,
Mm-hmm.
if I die now, is this really like what my legacy, like, you know, the things that we go
Yes.
that crosses our mind. um
It's perspective. Yep.
it's completely shifted people's perspectives on things and valuing their life and their time differently. It's like, it's wild though, because I feel like all these people that I'm meeting are like being just drawn to me, that like, oh, there you are, like just very spiritual people, or people that are on their path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no surprise that they're like, that I'm meeting more of those, and they're having more of these experiences.
Well, and I think that's interesting. So maybe we should just go ahead and dive into the spiritual purpose or significance of something like a big global event like this, because what it is it's catalyzing a mass awakening. And there is a ton of stuff on the internet, you guys. Like, there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down regarding COVID and this virus and whatever. And we're not really going to speak on that, but you like know that there's a kernel of truth in everything, but there's also a lot of other information that can confuse you. So you have to use your own intuition and discernment on what feels like truth in your body as opposed to what feels like fear. And
what somebody else is telling you that it is.
yes. And so
Like,
it's really important to go into your body and feel what the information feels like. And if it has any semblance of fear to you, then you need to be careful with that kind of information, because true intuition will never feel like fear. It's like a concrete sense of knowing and confidence and like truth, right? And that resonates through the body. Fear will have a very different feeling within your body. But this, this virus, I think about it when it started to happen, Meo, it's crazy. It's wild. I want to like not use the word crazy anymore, but it's really wild, because when it started happening, I thought, oh, we're here. We're at the point where we're like, this is the start of the tidal wave. This is the point where everyone is going to have to stop, and they're going to have to rub away what's covering their eyes and see. And, I've been in metaphysical studies for a long time, a couple of decades, and really hardcore for the last probably 12 years or so. And for so long, I've been reading about how there will come a time on Earth where, as a collective, we will be entering into this period of like dynamic evolution at the spiritual level. And there will be this point where humanity will be faced with a heck of a lot of chaos, and everybody will be aware of it and in it and as a collective. And that will be the time when there is this grand like realization or reorientation of what's truly important, and a recentering of our individual spiritual journeys, but together as a collective, as a humanity, like where are we going? And so when this started to happen, I was like, oh shit, this like everything I've read about, like everything we've been talking about as a healer community, as a light worker community, we're there. And so the spiritual purpose of something like this, like we can, debate on whether or not this is by divine design, right? A lot of people are probably saying that on the internet, but if you stop to think about just practically what this situation has done for the entire world, like the power of this situation to stop the world from all of its normal functioning, and have everybody thinking about this one thing, and then also turning inward to think about what's important for them and where they are and who they are and what they want and what's important and all of this stuff that is the core of like who you are and how you want to move through the world. Like how could we not go through this and have a spiritual awakening, right? So like, I don't know, tell me what you think.
No, it's just like it reminded me of the day that we can all remember, like when 9/11 went down, and we're just like,
huge.
It's such a marker in the conscious, the universal consciousness, the universal energy, the collective of everybody here, right? Like it affected the energy of the world so massively, and it felt like that again, but it just felt like a different type of earthquake or a different type of wave coming on, because there's different kind of earthquakes and how they shake and how they how they feel and how long they go, how all that kind of stuff. But so like you, I don't watch the mainstream media, but I do dig around, like to where when I need to find something, like I know where to go. But all the other shit that's popped in on the media within the last few months that have covered in and been like the distractions and all of this stuff, it's like I really hope that people don't lose sight of the self-awareness, the introspection, the growth, the contentment. I really hope that they don't get sucked into things that are taking up their time and energy, when right now maybe spirit's calling them to just like chill the fuck out.
Exactly. Like. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that, because literally the world stopped. Like we were told to stop and, and just be at home and be with yourself and and like many people took that opportunity to know themselves better and to understand what's important, to cherish their time with their families, and just to reorient themselves to their own personal sense of purpose, or, you know, what are their dreams and desires and how are you going to make that happen? Especially like if you can't go to work and you can't make a living, well, fucking A, I'm going to like figure out how to make a business that can
that's
thrive.
me.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's literally like destination wedding photographer is the worst fucking thing possible right now when you can't fly or have large gatherings. Like,
Exactly. So there's a whole
hey,
lot
of
of
course, yeah.
yeah, a lot of reframing that's happening, and in the realization of like, okay, what are the systems that we have in place that have been in place for a long time that just don't work, right? Like
Yep.
they, at the first sign, I mean, granted, this is a huge like global catastrophe, right? But like we have systems that are flat out failing, right? So
Yep.
this is an
And
opportunity.
these are the indicator lights. Like, these are the check engine lights that are like,
Yes.
bro, hey, you need to go get your shit maintenance.
Yep. Yep. Danger. Right. So it's the warning lights essentially, right? So this is like the crumbling or the dismantling of systems that don't actually work anymore. So we can figure out what does work for when, you know, in the future we come up against something like this again, that it's going to be just a speed bump, right? Like we'll know how to thrive despite something like this because we have the systems in place that actually work. And so this is really interesting. First and foremost, though, it takes people time to slow down and think about like, well, to get fucking angry about what's not working, right?
Yeah.
And then to get really fucking angry about how much time they've spent doing like their 9 to 5, day in, day out, like got to get my paycheck, working for a system that actually cannot support me when something goes wrong. And what have I done with all of my time and my energy and my effort? So this is really, it's a huge time of introspection. And also what I feel like too is, and this is something intuitively that I've been feeling into, and you and I both like have this connection to be able to connect to people who have passed over, and then soul journey kind of stuff. I tend to see people at their soul journey level as opposed to their human level most often. And I feel like this was a time that we had come into that a lot of people had decided at the soul level that their soul contracts were done, right? And this, like, they could do their work more easily from the other side at this point.
Yeah.
So what they had done on earth was done. Like they needed to go to the other side to be able to assist better, and big waves of that. So when something like this happens, like think about 9/11, you think about the tsunami in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia, right? And Hurricane Katrina, all of these big natural disasters that have taken lots of lives. Those are the endings of soul contracts where these people had said, okay, I came here to do this. This is my exit, but it's also serving a huge compassionate, heart-cracking, open purpose for us who watch that happen, that exit, the mass exiting, like this, watching people die of this virus or complications of it. It's like this huge cracking open of our hearts so that we can pour out all of who we are into this world and figure out how to do things differently, right? So that we are compelled to make a difference, so that we are compelled to be advocates for whatever cause that it is would benefit our society or our global community moving forward. And similar too with all the protests happening, like it is not an accident that all of this is happening at once. This is like the momentum building of a mass awakening in a lot of ways to get people to pay attention, wake up, pay attention.
I feel like it's it's like wherever spirit's gonna get the attention, however, like just to stir up and light a fire, and like it's almost like shaking somebody out of their fucking like, hey bro, pay attention, like like you're out of it, come on.
Yeah. And it's also, I've had this thought repeatedly come in, or this intuitive hit repeatedly come in, like we're in a time of clearing a lot of global karma. Okay. So a lot of what's happening is the release of old wounds, and it's happening on part of souls that are departing, or, interactions that we're having. Like I think about a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests and a lot of the discussions around racial equality. And that's really like surging right now. And that is the clearing of karma of built up over hundreds of years, right? And really having that come to the surface so we can look at it for what it is, and we can finally do the work of, resolving that and doing what needs to happen to resolve that and do better moving forward, right? So it's like this immense release of pressure through karmic clearing over hundreds of years and millions of soul contracts along the way. So like in terms of spiritual purpose of what we're in right now, the energy is so fucking intense. Like it's so intense. But as a global community, we are doing such huge work spiritually through each individual as we experience COVID, as we experience these protests, as we experience how we navigate our rights and our thriving as humans. As a result,
is like literally like coming, everything is being brought under like the microscope into the surface, and like everything that has maybe once been like tucked away, it's like I'm seeing ways that the light is able to sneak in and get like, even if it's just a glimpse of a piece of it, or it's like the way that the light is happening on exposing things in shadows even, or just the true nature of the hearts of people. Like I'm seeing people lash out and behave certain ways in public, and it's just like that, like I remember back in church, the pastor would be like, oh yeah, like whatever's inside you, and you just like a fruit, like an orange, whatever, when you squeeze it, what's going to come out? And it's like you're seeing people that are at their limit right now.
They are
like I feel like some of the people I've seen lash out in public, whether it be over anything as asking someone to move parking spots, to a mask, to whatever, even if it's a mandate and you're like, if you want to come in the store, you need to do this, like point blank simple. Like I don't make these fucking rules, right? And you see people lash out and they're behaving like toddlers. And I'm like, okay, I know this. As a mom, I know when my kid has hit their limit.
Right.
But everyone's aggravated, on edge. But
No, I was just going to say, so it's interesting, like with kids, it's because, they don't have a say, right? And they don't have control, and they want to have a say. And so people who are lashing out, there's several things happening. One, they're afraid, right? Two, they don't have control of this situation, so they can't technically ensure their own safety. And they just really want to be able to determine how they get to move through this, because that's some semblance of control. And when we don't have it, that means uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, there's fear. And when there's fear, people do really radical things. Like it becomes fight or flight.
Yeah, it's totally in the brain. Like I remember like I was, doing different rabbit holes and research projects on my stories every day, and one of them was about how brain is triggered when it's in fear. And it's like it literally just showing like what chemically happens and what like gets escalated and this and that, and what happens when people are on high alert, and why people snap so fucking fast. And it's like, I mean, tying it all back into the energy of everybody, as long as I can recognize, like, I can't let this person's energy affect mine.
Exactly.
I can't let them bring me down. I can't let them trip me up or trigger me, because if I lose that, like, if I can't stay grounded, like it takes me, it sucks. You can't stay grounded if you let someone ruffle your feathers like that.
Yeah, totally. Well, and we're human too. So even if you do get like the feathers ruffled, it's totally okay because we.
No. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
No.
as long as you can come back
Not.
to your center. Um, it's just interesting because we're in this period or this phase of our own it's like labor pains, right? And
Oh, totally.
men listening to this won't really understand what that is, but like women who have had children, it's like you've got to breathe through this shit, right? Like it's super
You
intense. And
you have no control. You have to
no,
breathe.
you have to
You
surrender
have
to
to
it.
surrender and relax and let your body do its fucking thing that it
Yep.
knows how to do,
Yep.
that you never even had to teach it how to do.
Yep. And the more that you are resist it, the harder and like more painful it is, right? So
You
like
mean clenching?
yes, when you are resisting and fighting those contractions, it makes it exponentially worse. And if you're like relax and breathe through it and let your body, like trusting your body, and at a certain point in labor, your body just takes over. Like when you get to the pushing phase, like you don't have any control over that anymore. Your body does it for you. And that is the weirdest feeling, like sidebar right there. That is the weirdest fucking feeling.
It is alien.
It's totally weird.
It literally is alien.
But anyway,
Lose control over yourself like that.
But it's also beautiful because our bodies know what needs to happen. And that is a total metaphor for how we need to settle into our own sense of knowing. Like if we just relax our fear, relax our logical mind, our ego that wants to keep us safe, and we go into our heart and our knowing, it will show us what we need to do. And so when we're in this situation of, coronavirus and everything else that's happening amidst that, like we are in a global fight or flight. And the people, like those of us who have come here to really anchor light, which are going to be the light workers, we came here to be those people who like are those pillars that kind of anchor in to the earth and are that source of calm that we radiate out. So when people are freaking the fuck out around us, like they can come and they can like, what's the word I'm looking for? They can like bask in that for a little while and like find their calm in their center and then go back out. Right. So there, those of us who are here to do that work right now. And I suspect that's why you and I feel so calm about everything throughout this whole thing, because that's part of what we're here to do is transmute that.
You can't panic. Like anybody who has ever been through an emergency situation, a traumatic event, a catastrophic event, you cannot fucking panic. Mm-hmm. You cannot be the one to lose your shit. You can deal with it later.
Yeah.
Like you will process after the shock wears off. Just do whatever you need to do to survive right now.
So,
and to keep everybody else moving, because you have to keep everybody else moving.
And that's that's effectively what we're going through, but this is like a sustained period, like a length of time, right? It's not just a snap moment or, like a snippet of time. This is months and months. And like, pandemics technically go from like 18 to 24 months, right? So like for the foreseeable future, we are going to be navigating this and what else comes up. And this is fascinating. So, okay, what does this feel like in your body when you're feeling all of this that's going on? So for me, it has been like a trip to the grocery store would be like, I'd have to psych myself up to go in there because I would feel everybody else's fear and anxiety. And it would kind of, it would like press in on me from all sides. And by the end of like my 45 minutes in the grocery store, I would go out to the car and I would fucking bawl my eyes out, right? Because it was just that was the only way I could release that energy. And then anxiety creeping in and feeling this general sense of like irritability or agitation. That's what it's been for me. So what has it been for you?
Yeah, very similar, except for I can count on one hand how many times I've actually had to go inside of a store because I am like I hate going inside stores. Even when it's not pandemic, I hate going inside, period. Like I would have my groceries delivered. Like, did you know Instacart can deliver Costco? You don't even have to have a fucking membership. So you don't have to step inside Costco, which is great for an empath and someone who hates big, large, bright spaces. And
there you go. Mental note.
However, okay. So adding on to that, I will say, I feel like eyes are watching me more closely than ever before, because I feel like they're judging and assessing, because especially before masks were mandated. Because let's talk about that. Let's talk about the energy put out of fear, judgment, questioning their own body, questioning what's being told to them, not knowing. Like, it's very disorienting, because your belief about this whole thing will be your lens to which you view other people not doing the same thing as you, or vice versa. Or, does that make sense?
Yep.
Like you're gonna, depending on how you believe, if you're gonna take everything as face value, or if you're gonna take it as like whatever, right? There's 100 different variations to what you could believe over this. And it just seems like those people, I can see their thoughts protruding from them, like very sharp, rigid. One reading I did, I saw her thoughts coming out very black and white and very rough and rigid, when it came to her fears and everything she was projecting onto her children. So that's been interesting, because I have felt very protective over my kids when we have gone into a store. So that's been interesting. But what else? Yeah, sometimes I want to puke. Sometimes I want to cry. Sometimes I have to remember to breathe. Because I'll hold my breath and not even realize it. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can exhale now. But like I said before, like, I've been working in retail in the public this entire time. So I've been exposed to the public. I've been exposed to coworkers. I've been having to wear a mask, 8 hours a day in 115-degree weather, whether I believe in it or not, because I'm very vocal, like on my own page, about how I see shit. I'm very much like, if you're going to give a shit about this, give a shit about everything else about your health. Mental, physical, your energy. Like, if you're gonna give a fuck about your health, give a whole fuck. And that should
don't be selective about your fucks.
Don't be selective about your fucks. If you're gonna care about your body and your health and the health of your family and your kids, dude, stay like, keep your energy centered, your like everything that we've been telling, or that
keep perspective, right? Like, so
growing, expand, like, don't freak out, don't panic. We already know this life isn't what we think it is, or what we've been told it is. Like, we already know it's like so much more than that.
So again, I mean, it circles back to this like sense of control, right? And what people don't feel like they have control over, they're losing control of. And then like how that sparks fear, uncertainty, and fear and anxiety. And then how does that permeate through society? And then how does that affect you as an individual? And you don't have to be an empath or a highly sensitive person to feel this energy, right? Like, it's
not at all.
And then
because regular people are feeling it and talking about it. And like, customers that I run into, and people, coworkers, and they're the ones that are asking me like, you're into this kind of stuff, right? Like, what does this mean? Or
you're a little woo woo.
Yeah.
But I mean, when there's so many people collectively focused on this, that creates a force. It's energy, thought,
it's a consciousness, awareness.
Yes. Yep. And you and I can connect into people with a thought, right? And an intention. And when, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, billions of people are thinking about this, that creates its own force, energetic force. And it can be magnetic too.
Dude, what are the laws of manifestation? Like, what you think about grows, right?
Yes. And what you're feeling draws that to you. So, thoughts are electric, feelings are magnetic, right? So,
Yep.
Yep. So So when we're in a situation like this, like not any one of us is exempt from feeling this, right? It's whether or not you're
Correct.
aware of what it is, and if it's your stuff, or if it's actually collective stuff that you need to shed. So what I've been doing, because there have been some really fucking hard days where I'm just like, holy shit, I'm really having a hard time letting this go. And I mean, this is the stuff I do every day. I do energy work. I work with people. I let go of stuff all the time. I'm a channel for energy. So I'm practiced in how to release all this stuff. But when it's this much coming in, combined with all of the cosmic energies, like the astrology right now, and all of the cosmic energy coming into the planet, it's just amplifying this, right? And it's actually, supporting and moving this process along, because it's part of the spiritual evolution as well. Another discussion for another time.
I also thought it was interesting when it was like, astrology wise, when the last time these big major things were happening were through historic events that were very similar.
Yes.
That happened on individual timelines. And then now all three of them are happening at once.
Yes. So it's going to be a big fucking deal, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and astrologers for the last 4 years have been saying 2020 is going to really rock our world, and not in such a great way, right? So, and now just validates this situation as validating that. So, again, a discussion for another time, I suppose. But so, what do we do then to try to navigate this, when it's so intense? How do we, and we know that this is a situation that's going to last for a number of months further, we're not going to be out of it tomorrow or the next week. So what do we do to try to manage this, or to try to navigate it in a way that helps you feel more grounded? What are the things you've been doing?
I have been taking frequent assessments of where I am and where I want to be. And that's not anything new. That's just something that I do anyways. And now with those assessments, I feel like I'm an episode of Chopped, where now they're like, now make something with this fucking
you have squid,
melted rubber,
and bok choy.
Yeah.
And some wasabi.
And some Skittles. Yeah.
Oh,
so it's I feel like right now, just staying grounded, taking assessment, being realistic of okay, I get really antsy and I feel very locked down right now, and landlocked, and I just feel like I just kind of need to break free, and I need to see some water soon, real water, and not Lake Mead water.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
I will say though, just to add to that, water has been so crucial in this.
Yes.
Water is a beautiful medium to immerse yourself in anyway, for clearing of energies and for just really balancing emotions, because water is emotion. Water's so fluid, and but I really salt baths are my best friend right now.
I just took one last night.
Yes, it's so crucial. And drinking a lot of water, my goodness, because the energy is so big right now in everything that we're contending with cosmically, as well as the human collective. It's really hard on our bodies, and we need more water to help move that energy through the physical container.
Yeah.
And
that's huge, is realizing the physical and energetic equivalence of needing to take care of the body to be able to flush through and push things through. Just energetically, you need to be able to take energetic shit. There you go.
Yes, basically. Well, and they interface really well too, because our body is a huge electrical circuit, and water is a very important, very good conductor of electrical current.
So much more eloquent than I am. I just want to say I am so glad that I have you, because I don't think people would listen to me if it was just me. They'd be like,
I listen to you. I fucking love you. This is why we make such a great team. But we're a big electrical circuit, and our bodies need that water, and we need extra water to move that energy through. You wouldn't run a marathon and not drink fucking water. We are running
Right.
like 5 marathons right now with this. And
dude, some days it feels like it where you're like,
mhm.
oh my God, like I can feel the energy running through me on certain days.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. Yes. So swimming, especially in a natural body of water, can be really, really good for you, even if you put your feet in it. I really always advocate for, especially now, time outside, because the
yep.
sunlight, the fresh air,
Oh,
the energy of
every morning.
trees.
Yep. Every morning I sit outside.
Yep.
And even whether or not I work, I'll still wake up at like 5:30 and sit outside and watch the sun come up over the
Perfect.
palm trees and like have my coffee, you know, or my little wake and bake, whatever. My little pull my cards, pull my images,
Your woo-woo
pull, you know,
time.
asking spirit for the energy of the day.
Yep.
But
Yeah. And
yeah, water. I took a bath last night, and then
good.
just this whole last week I've been looking into different lakes in like southern Utah. I'm like trying to find like,
A place to
and I'm like,
go.
I need water. I need
Hmm.
water and trees.
Yep. And I feel like flowing water is really important too. So something about the movement, and it's not like it's not a necessity, but I have found that I live like right on the Mississippi River, and so it's super convenient. We have beautiful beaches up here, and going swimming in the water, just being by the water as it's flowing, it's very grounding and works to clear
Oh,
my energy field really effectively. And
I love that.
yeah, it's gorgeous. So salt baths, swimming in natural bodies of water, even if you can just put your feet in, even going swimming at our local swimming pool, which is not a natural body of water, but just the fact like that I can float and have my body be suspended, it's like that's like womb like conditions
That's
again,
why I love
right?
floating too. The
Yeah,
float
yep. It's like
therapy. Yeah.
takes us back to that place where it feels like we're being held. And then water, whatever it is,
Supported.
it will support you and it'll wash away whatever needs to go as long
Yep.
as you have that intention. What else? I've been meditating and just moving your body. So exercise, even if you don't feel like super motivated to do hardcore
Oh,
exercise,
that
like
was me last night. I did not fit.
I know. Just going for a walk, or I've been finding like runs lately have been really meditative for me, and it's really beautiful, but like bike rides
It's
too.
so
And
hot here. I want to run, but it's so freaking
yeah,
hot.
you do. Well, you live in the fucking desert, dude. So,
Ugh,
and
fuck.
you don't have the humidness of the upper
I'm like,
Midwest.
take me back to the Italian coastline so I can
Oh,
wake up and run and have my continental breakfast.
well, when our passports are accepted worldwide again, you can do that. But
For now, it's just dreams and Googles.
um, I would say too, like getting energy work done can help you a lot in this. So, like visiting somebody who does Reiki therapy or any kind of Qigong or anything
Ooh,
that's going to help you re center yourself or get your energy flowing through the energy centers the way that it needs to be. So, acupuncture could help you. Any kind of energy work is going to help you a ton. And
good,
then
good.
making sure that you spend time not worrying. So, like watching funny
Um,
movies, having talks with
dude,
soul sisters, right?
and art,
Yes.
I've been drawing and painting like almost every day, like, and just making it quick and easy and just not overthinking it, but just letting it be therapeutic.
And you're creating really cool stuff. It's like super fun to watch you do it.
Dude,
You should check out Meo on her Instagram because she posts like videos of her doing this really just such fun art as a creative like outlet. And so Meo Baclini, right? At
yeah,
Yeah, on Instagram.
yeah.
We can put that.
Hashtag 9 tiny squares.
Yeah, so cute. I love watching you do it.
It's therapy though. It's really therapy.
Yep,
And then it's something I'll sit down and I can do with my kids every single day. I'm like, okay, it's arts time, arts and crafts time.
that's
And it
cool.
lets them get get it out, and then I can like, okay, I feel good, I feel accomplished.
Yeah.
Like I got a spiral bound sketchbook. That way I can just do it every day and just have it in one place.
Well,
And
and
then
it's
just
so
drawing.
I mean, you even are like, okay, what should we do today? Let's do breakfast foods, or let's do the vegetables and underwear. And it's just so like creative, right? And that's what this energy is too. It's like, it's forcing us into this space of creativity, and creativity shares the same space as intuition. So like you're digging into the core of who you are to access your creative energy, and that's just intuition. There was one other thing I wanted to add about this, which I thought was kind of ironic. And do you remember like when we were recording a couple of episodes ago and I kept having that like throat thing going on? Like I had to clear my throat, and I
Yes.
thought it was like my thyroid and whatnot. And I actually, so it was just last week that I finally figured out what was happening, and I was really worried it was my thyroid and my throat speaking my truth, which, you know, we all have our shit to work on, and my throat is mine. And what another intuitive friend said, you know, have your chiropractor check your stomach, because this was happening to me. And my stomach and esophagus were jacked, like kind of twisted and wedged up underneath my rib cage. And I was like, how does that even fucking happen? And so I
Uh,
know. And so then she's like, I was having the same symptoms. So it's before you go and try to treat your thyroid, which I was doing naturally anyway. She's like, go have this checked and see if it helps. And I had it. We shared the same chiropractor. So this woman knew exactly what to do. And I had her check it, and I'm not shitting you. My stomach was like turned and wedged up under my left rib cage, like stuck up under there. And it was causing all of this like stuff to come up through the
whoa.
esophagus and irritate my throat. And your stomach it's your solar plexus. That's the energy of the solar plexus. And that is the
Holy
like
shit.
that is the place that governs your independence, your autonomy, your trusting your path, um, your self-worth, your self-care, your power. It's your warrior energy. And immediately I thought, holy shit, this is like representing, this started when COVID, like quarantine started for me. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, oh my God, it's the
Wow.
collective solar plexus energy of, we don't know how to move forward. We don't have the confidence to move forward. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know who we are. We don't know how to take care of ourselves. We don't know how to be our own warriors. And I was just like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
she like, you know, unwedged my stomach from underneath my rib cage. And now my symptoms are going away. But it's so wild, right? Like how energetically we are, you know, reflecting back what's happening on a larger scale. So for all of you who are listening, like this situation is not ideal by any means, but I
No,
I
no,
believe in my
definitely.
heart. Yeah, I believe in my heart it is bringing us forward through to something
Yeah.
that is better, that is a more awakened society. It's a society that will be far more empowered for charting our own destiny and trajectory as a humanity, as a human collective, and, you know, building systems that actually work to support us in, you know, nurturing positive ways. um, so like this is about us building that momentum and stepping into who we are and our purpose, and knowing that we can trust our path and trust our own instincts to get there, but doing that as a human collective. So we are like individually, we are reflecting back like what's happening at the collective level. So as you're experiencing this stuff, ask yourself like, okay, is this mine? Like that's one of the first things I do when I'm feeling all kinds of crazy or wild shit, right? Is this mine, or is this something that I'm feeling that belongs to the collective, or is this cosmic
Mhm,
energy? And
mhm.
my intuition will tell me right away. And
Yep.
so, but that takes a little bit of time and stillness to like sit with that and really feel it. And so that's a beautiful practice to get into every day, is like, okay, how am I feeling? And is this mine? Do I need to give it back to the collective? And if it is the collective's, all you need to do is just imagine whatever you're feeling as a ball of light, and you give it back. Give that back to the collective. It's not going to hurt the collective. You don't need to carry it that way anymore for right now.
Okay.
So that's something you can do. Yeah. Yeah. So ask if it's yours. And then if it is yours, then you got to sit down and do some shadow work. And maybe that's another episode where we talk about how do you actually do shadow work? What does that look like? How do you carry it out? And because that's fucking intense work, and we resist a lot of that. But once you do it, like, the payoff is huge. So, and really this COVID situation and whatever, like, we're moving into in the fall, because I know both you and I have been feeling like some building pressure of moving into the fall. Whatever that is, like, this is our time to be sitting down and doing our shadow work and understanding what it is we want in life, understanding what it is that we are resisting, where our wounding is, what's holding us back, what are our faulty belief systems about ourselves, all of that stuff, like confronting all of that so we can clear that and be able to move forward on a trajectory that's like nice and open. Boy, I think I was just channeling spirit there.
No, that's awesome. No, like, dude, whatever you feel led, because that's honestly how it flows. Is like once you kind of lock into the thought and the idea and how the information just kind of pours out, like, you got to let that shit out.
Totally. Yes. Okay. Oh, is there anything else you want to add about, like, how do you manage these big energies? Self-care is huge, right?
Self-care is huge.
Yeah.
Managing any anxieties.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stress it enough, like sitting outside in the sun every day and just soaking it up without your phone, without anything except for like reconnecting and listening to the noises around you. And just like breathing, just focus on breathing.
Yeah. Deep breathing.
Watch what you eat, watch what you drink, like pay attention, because everything is going to affect you right now. Even more, I feel like maybe even more than it normally would.
Absolutely. We are hypersensitive right now. I mean, I feel hypersensitive. It's just everything is affecting me now. And it's like, my husband is like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'm sure I'll be okay, but I just, like, this is intense shit." And I think that's hard for him because he doesn't feel it the same way or to such a level. And so, if you need alone time, take your alone time. If you need a bath, take a bath. If you need a therapy appointment, have a therapy appointment. If you need to go move your body, go move your body, right? That's what's important. If you need to watch something funny, then watch something fucking funny, or listen to us swear, because that's fucking funny. Oh gosh. I hope this is helpful for you guys. And of course, if you do have any questions or follow-up, ideas, then please, drop them in our Souls and Stardust Instagram comments or page, or our Facebook group, which is a closed group just for protecting people's privacy about sensitive stuff, but you can always ask to join and we'll let you in. And then
I actually need to re-download my I deleted my entire Facebook with all of this because that became too much to bear. Like, you want to talk about energy? I had to get rid of Facebook because I could not, like, my people are on Instagram. I feel like that feed is like, that was too much. So I think I'll re-download the groups, and then we'll manage all the million baits.
And I can always help manage that too. But that's a really good point, right? So, like, if your social media is fucking with your vibe, you got to do something about that, right? It's the same with the news. You know, if the news is fucking with your vibe, then you gotta curtail that stuff. You gotta, like, be selective about what you're going to pay attention to, and you gotta limit that as well. So, like, you got to be an advocate for your own energy management. It doesn't mean that you're, like, being irresponsible or naive about what's happening around you, but it does mean you're being responsible about how you manage your own energy. And because if you're not feeling good and if you're tired and if your vibe is low, you know, that radiates out to the people around you. And then you get caught in this negative loop. So like you come here to anchor light, to hold light, then, you know, we want to be that. So you got to take care of yourself. And you don't want to be miserable in this. We want to thrive. We want to move through this thriving.
We want to feel good. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I love that. Anchor light.
Yeah, girl. This is so fun.
Can't wait to record again with you.
I love you.
I think our next, I love you too. I think our next episode that we're going to talk about, I don't know if we screenshot when we actually tuned in and pulled, not our cards, but like we started doing some fun like ways of tuning in and like asking spirit questions.
Oh, are you talking about the random images?
That might be our next episode where like we kind of like pull oracle cards, but instead of oracle cards, like there's these websites that do like these random image generators, random word generators. And when you set an intention or ask a question and then push the button, a lot of the times like fucking shit makes sense.
Oh, and dude, it was so wild. Yeah.
I do it all the time for other people, and we did it together to test and tune into spirit and asked all kinds of questions, and
it was super rad, and it was kind of blowing our minds that night when we were doing it. So
yeah, it's really wild because it's that whole idea of like just like an oracle card, intention, answer, intention, pull an answer.
Well, and then like tapping into your intuition as you see the image, and it was like there were so many that came up where we're just like, holy fuck, this is like legitimate, right? So we were really testing the energy of how well that tool could work, and then also, you know, playing a fun game on like how Meo and I were actually interacting intuitively together to read the energy of what was coming up. So it was really, really fun. So that will be a great discussion on something very practical that you all listening, if you wanted to try to hone your own intuition, you can use a random word generator or random image generator around certain questions.
Those are so much fun to test and exercise your intuition muscle, and like, you know, so many different ways and different things you can use a tool like that, a free tool like that for.
Anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Meo and I always have so much fun recording these episodes, and truly we feel like two sisters that are from different families that have been reunited just for, you know, this kind of a journey together, and it's so beautiful. So we really appreciate.
And remember, right? I think today's quote is like, and remember, folks, if you're gonna give a fuck, give a whole fuck.
Well, don't be selective about your fucks that you give, because that doesn't make any sense. Give a whole fuck.
Give a whole fuck.
Oh my God. This is why you all listen, because we are magical as fuck and we're classy as fuck too. So anyway, you guys, we love you and we so appreciate that you're here with us, and we look forward to catching you again. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Souls and Stardust. Connect with us on Instagram @GratitudeMaven and @YourIntuitiveFriend. Until next time, stay
magical.